Hey, Ecom Masters, welcome to the show. My name is Mike Weiss, Chief Community Officer at Dropified, and as a thank you for tuning in to the e-commerce mastery show, we've put together a special podcast-only e-commerce training just for you. Now, in it, you're going to learn the ins and outs of how to set up your own brand of products where you can literally put your own labels, brands, logos, and messaging over top of top-selling, in-demand, high-quality, high-profit products that are exclusive to supplements, CBD, skincare, and pet products. And here's the key: no minimum order quantities, no upfront inventory costs. And I'm going to show you how to do this in literally minutes. Now, guys, we refined these principles over the course of 5 years with working with over 100,000 of our own e-compreneur customers just like you. So to get immediate 100% free access, all you got to do is go to dropified.com/podcast-special, or you can just click the link below and you're going to learn exactly how we do this in just minutes. Thank you so much for being part of the Dropified family and enjoy the show. Welcome to e-commerce mastery. Another episode today. We're super excited to be speaking with Jamie Davidson. Now, Jamie is an Amazon e-commerce expert selling coach, co-founder of AMZ Insiders. Jamie started as a military officer, then transferring to working at Home Depot. And then he learned the power of e-commerce and Amazon and is now making over, get this, $100 million per year on Amazon and over $10 million per year on other e-commerce platforms. And again, I got to stress, it's per year. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on with us today. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, Mike. Appreciate it. I'm doing good. I'm down here in Atlanta, Georgia. So life is okay, everything considering. So yeah, we're staying busy.
Yeah. How's the weather down there now? I mean, we're coming into the winter. I mean, it's freezing cold up here in Canada, but it's not like igloo season. So
yeah. I mean, this fall has been beautiful this year. It's probably been one of the nicest ones. So it's finally just getting a little cool now finally, but it's been actually really nice all fall.
That's excellent. Well, guys, before we dive in here, as always, here's a breakdown of what we're going to cover. So first things first, we're going to hear a little bit more of Jamie's story and how he came from being a military officer to working at Home Depot to making over $100 million on Amazon. I know it wasn't as simple as day one, day two, day three, but that's why we're going to hear more of Jamie's story here. Next, we're going to talk about what it means to actually sell on Amazon and give you some powerful strategies taught in his Amazon training through his company, AMZ Insiders. And then we're going to also learn how to apply these strategies using Dropified's private label on-demand platform to explode onto the Amazon marketplace faster than even Jamie did. Finally, we're going to go and give everyone that's listening the #1 secret for actually exploding out of the gate using this crazy secret technique that he locks in a vault, and it's only offered in his AMZ Insiders training. But we're also going to give you an opportunity to learn how you can be a part of that amazing program. And then we're going to wrap up. Does that sound good, Jamie?
Sounds awesome, man. Looking forward to it.
All right. I hope you're ready to divulge some secrets. All right, guys. So let's start off today. Jamie, I'd love to hear your story. How did you come from being a military officer to working at Home Depot to now making over $100 million on Amazon?
Yeah, so that I think everyone has a different, unique story in really the e-commerce space, certainly Amazon, because no one went to school to become an Amazon seller, right? Since it at least didn't exist. I'm in my 40s, so it didn't exist when I was going through. And without going kind of through every little step, but essentially you hit the big point. I was an Army officer, went to West Point for undergrad, and so after the military, it was more like a lot of military guys. It's a lot of corporate opportunities, and so I was just kind of working my way through kind of leadership opportunities, and I was in a little bit of banking for a while, Home Depot for a while. I was actually I came down to Atlanta as part of a private equity investment. These guys became like a hired gun by these investment groups to run, maybe like a $20 million plus or minus size company. And which is fine. Everyone has their experience. It's not, whatever your experience is, it's good. You can leverage it in this space. But what's kind of relevant for me, the way it worked out was that when I moved down here to Atlanta, we live in northern suburbs. My next door neighbor in our community was a native Chinese guy, Jason, who's my fellow co-founder. And at the time, he was an IT consultant, and I was like chief operating officer for this private equity bought company. So anyways, we're both, we're kind of both corporate guys. He was traveling, but he was selling on eBay, and this is like 2011.
Yeah.
And I was, and then he was started to sell on Amazon out of his garage, which was cell phone cases, which is what our biggest brands are to this day. But anyway, so yeah, it was just, we became buddies, and you kind of like drinking buddies. We'd go over night. I'd go over there and had some fun, but he was, that stuff just started taking off more and more. But the short version of it is that he, again, I thought it was kind of like, I didn't really take it that seriously at first, because I kind of viewed it as like my Chinese neighbor is kind of like selling on eBay,
right,
and he's hustling. Or I know at the time he was doing some retail arbitrage, like on Black Friday, buying deals and reselling. So just basically kind of that, selling high and buying low. But anyways, the Amazon thing, there wasn't a lot of people that really understood what that opportunity was with it then. It helped him having some connections on the China side to navigate that. And I'm sure we'll, the whole sourcing challenges and all that stuff, I'm sure we'll talk more about later. But the short of it was him. There was another partner, as far as Brad, that recognized we had this opportunity. Sales really started taking off. And on the cell phone cases, they were kind of like the ideal original, one of the early Amazon products, along with things like supplements, but because they were, really small and light, and you sold them for a good price, so the margins were really
quite high. Yeah.
Yeah. They were still pretty good now, but they were phenomenal back then. So, essentially basically quit our jobs around it, because that business grew like, much more, I wouldn't say it's as realistic to grow as fast, typically in most cases, like, through traditional private label now as we did, but we grew to, I think like 6-7 million in the first year, eventually got to like up to 20 million. We did a small acquisition with another guy with a brand of about 5 million. And again, I won't go blow, but eventually got to about 60 million a few years back, plateaued. My, the last piece just to connect it to the 100 million. Again, obviously this is 100 million in sales. It's not 100 million in profit, but what helped us too was it was hard to scale a brand this big, or the whole operation just in the US in terms of our team and resources, because when you start growing past, probably about 8 million or so, at least through the private label where you're managing everything, you really need to add a lot more people. And so what we did was we actually built a team. We have about 30 people here in Atlanta. We have a warehouse down the road. I'm at my home office right now, but we have a good sized warehouse here, but then we have a big team in China that we've built in Shenzhen, China.
Wow. Nice.
So that's about 200 plus people, where we have we run all of our marketing, our product development, all sorts of logistics, everything out of there. So anyway, that's a very long kind of walkthrough, but anyways, that's just a high level, and happy to kind of dive into it. Obviously there's more to it along the way, but yeah.
It's exciting, man. And, I think it's great because, you hear a lot about these fly-by-nights, and especially you see them all over Facebook for, Amazon gurus or, courses. Hey, look at my sales, right? And I did this in 3 months, or I did this in 4 months, and you could do it too with my program. And it's like, it's just really refreshing to hear a story. Again, similar to mine. And I think a lot of people where there's no fly-by-night. Like there's Q4, which is awesome. And a lot of people, I think everyone in Amazon ramps up for Q4 as best as they can. And it's a little bit harder this year with a lot of limitations, but again, we're going to get into that. But it's really great hearing the fact that this wasn't just $100 million out of your garage in 3 months. And because it really isn't realistic. And I think it's a testament to, again, the power of your story, the integrity, the hard work that you've put into it, but also the amazing technique and hard work that you inspire inside your training programs. And would I be accurate in that, or I don't think you sell?
Yeah, 100%. The reality is, and this isn't just unique to Amazon, and you're speaking to kind of the industry it's like the make money industry, you know, YouTube, people gravitate towards like the make money easy. And there's plenty of people that will serve it up. So, and there's some big names in the industry that serve it up well, even though there's not a lot of substance behind it.
Yeah.
But that's just the reality that's always going to be there. But the reality is, yeah, I mean, I know, you know, in my life, I know a lot of successful people around me in various industries. And when you really peel back the onion, you know, none of it's always, there's always ups and downs, and there's, you know, successes and failures. And we've been blessed with some good, very good success, but we've also, and we've failed with plenty of products. We've had account suspensions, we've had things with it. So the nature of, you know, entrepreneurship to me is ultimately it's about solving problems and solving more problems. And as you keep doing that enough, you know, like say you become, you know, you'll go past the $1 million mark and you can go higher if you just keep, you know, knowing how to solve problems. If you can't navigate things or you give up, then of course, but yeah, no, absolutely. There's a reality to it. And then there's always new things like you mentioned earlier. I mean, this year's been great in terms of sales, but it's like in the Amazon world, but it's also been the toughest year in terms of inventory management and the ability to get things into Amazon. And, you know, there's always something, you know, there's always opportunity, but there's always things you got to navigate as well.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions that I kind of want to dive into for those that don't sell on Amazon. And again, for a lot of our listeners who have their own brands, but they're kind of scared to jump into Amazon because it's completely different. It's completely different than what they're facing with the Facebook, Google's native ads, influencers, you know, on their end, because it's just a different beast. It's its own ecosystem. So we're going to get into that, but I think just actually one more question here at this is, what was your biggest learning curve when you were just getting started? And you started in 2011, right? That was when you started kind of jumping into Amazon?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say 2000. Yeah. Just 2012 would be kind of the first full year, but yeah, my partner was dabbling in it at that point. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's always things that, you know, there's along the way, but, you know, I think what certainly helped us the most, which, you know, even though you'll hear it a lot, but it's easy to forget it, you know, the product, you know, getting the product selection is certainly a huge one. You know, we have a pretty good system, a pretty good platform with our team, and, you know, we sell other brands and products, but, you know, getting that product right makes everything so much easier up front. We've certainly, made mistakes where, you know, we thought our machine and engine, we'd be able to, you had an idea, and, you know, things don't work out just because, you know, like if you have a great product or, you know, a product that people want, and you can do some other things wrong and still do okay. It's got to get some visibility, of course.
Right.
But if, you know, if it's the reverse, then that's a problem, right? If your product sucks and it's going to get crappy reviews,
and you got lots of visibility. Yeah.
Yeah. You can market the heck out of it. You can get it to rank up top.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that's stuck with us over time is, you know, you know, just the understanding that, hey, and this applies whether it's Amazon or any really platform is, you know, at the end of the day, if you can provide something of quality, whether it's a product, a service, you know, that will help you navigate the market well. If you only think about this in terms of making money, you know, that you're not actually satisfying a customer, then, you know, you're going to struggle. So, you know, the other one, just with Amazon, I'd probably say, you know, which I think is applicable to the reality of just how fast things change, is that just in the course of a given year, there are a lot of changes with Amazon. The techniques, you know, to get reviews, the techniques to rank. It was definitely the real wild west back then in terms of the techniques we used and the kind of the black hat stuff. It was just, we've told Amazon, we've met with Amazon, sat down with them and told them, if we followed all of your rules, we wouldn't have a business.
Isn't that the truth, right?
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we know. Yeah. Right. So, you know, but at the same time, over time, I feel like they're getting a little bit better in terms of things and just finding the right balance. But anyways, the point being, you know, I think at the end of the day, Amazon does want you to succeed more than sometimes sellers don't realize that, because, you know, they're trying to beat Walmart, beat other platforms out there. But you know, you just have to make sure you understand the landscape and the rules and you've got to be aggressive. You've got to push the envelope. Otherwise you'll get left in the dust, but you know, just understanding where those lines are. We've learned some of those lessons hard, and we've been shut down for, you know, a month at a time, a few times in the past. So now we just had to adjust and make sure that we're, you know, above the rules. But on the flip side, there hasn't been a business that we could have ever scaled to this size as quickly as we have, relatively, without being, you know, we didn't come in at it with millions of dollars in investment initially. We did put some money in, you know, from the get-go, but you know, nothing crazy compared to what most, you typically have to do to get to this size.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's great. And you know what I would love to do next here is we're going to jump into kind of what the world of Amazon is right now, and kind of how maybe it was different from when you had started and what people need to be, you know, looking forward to. We're going to jump into some amazing secrets, but before we do that, can you just walk for those listeners that just, again, they kind of have a concept of, you know, how it kind of works. Like you're going to buy something, you're going to sell it for a little bit more of that arbitrage thinking, but it's different, right? So can you walk us through what the basic steps, you know, for any beginner, and it doesn't have to be super in depth, just like even high level is fine, but what basic steps does it take for someone to actually sell on Amazon who is thinking about it, that has maybe their own brand?
Yeah, sure. No problem. You know, I guess I'll start with kind of what Amazon is looking for, which is, you know, Amazon loves private brands. And this is one thing, you know, we've been biased because that's been our strategy, our approach. We've been private label sellers. So meaning that we own our own brand, right? In our case, we have a brand called iBlazon. It's big in the cell phone case space, along with Supcase. So we have these two big brands that over time, people know them because as my partner Jason would say, it's just because we've sold a crap load of cases over time that's how we really built the brand. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't billboards or radio ads or whatever. Right. We just sold a ton of them, but Amazon is what allowed us to do that. But the point is that Amazon wants to have legitimate products, legitimate sellers on their platform. And so Amazon really likes private label because, you know, there's a vetting process to get a brand. They have a vetting process. You know, traditionally it's been like, hey, you've got to get a trademark for your product. You don't need to do that at the beginning to get started. You can start selling without it. But once you have that, Amazon, I always describe like a video game. Amazon unlocks all these additional features.
That's right.
Like enhanced brand content, the bottom part of your listing, a lot of the features, someone will talk later, like the bells and whistles, they give you access to those. Amazon now has a program to accelerate that process for sellers. But basically the point is Amazon doesn't want fraudulent products. They don't want, because then Amazon has risks. If you're selling knockoff, you know, Kate Spade purses or something, or Louis Vuitton, that's a problem for Amazon. And, you know, they're at risk of getting sued. So if you're a, you know, legitimate person, viable, and they can even now vet you, even set your account up. I know there's a little more verification than there used to be. And then you have a brand, then, right, Amazon likes that. All right. So with that, you know, hey, that's, you know, then the process, like, okay, you're good there. Then, you know, then it comes to the fundamentals, which is, you know, I guess the short version would be you have a product. You need to have, again, for us, we carry our own inventory. So
you're FBM?
Well, sorry, I would say you carry. We buy all of our own inventory,
meaning,
right? So if we talk about kind of the drops here, but then 90% of our product is FBA, is at Amazon, and then some of it's at our warehouse, but typically not. But anyway, so in our case, we have our own brand. We send it to Amazon in most cases. You don't need a warehouse. A lot of my, you know, if we're doing this again today, we'd probably build it a little differently, but we have a warehouse because we also sell on a lot of different channels, and we have some different needs and returns coming back and everything. But you know, you do a really good job creating your listing, and it's very learnable. It's a very repeatable process. And you learn how to launch your product and rank your product. You know, the big thing certainly with Amazon is, you know, Amazon is like this river of shoppers coming down, and, you know, you got your little bait and thing. And as long as you can have your bait out there, you know, that the fish can actually are swimming by your product, you know, you're going to sell a lot, right? You don't need to be a big brand or big thing. It's just, everyone knows, right? There's just, it's so dominant, such a dominant platform that it's going to be there. But you do need to make sure that you're in that, you're in that stream. And, so you need to be able to get to rank to page one. One of the things that's different about certainly Amazon is that it's very keyword driven. It's very search term driven, right? So when you go to Amazon, typically you're not, unless it's a $1 billion brand, typically you're not typing in a brand or clicking through to find. The way you're finding your product is, what is it that I'm looking for? I'm typing it, and then it comes up, right? So
Christmas gifts for mom. Yeah.
yeah. So if you think about that, and then the other thing to think about, so for your given product, there are, the way you say Christmas gifts for mom, I might say, best gifts for mom at Christmas. Right. And so, and there may be a totally different ranking. So I always say there's, for your product, for any, if your product fits that, is relevant for that search term, there may be 30, 50 different variations of search terms for that. And so each of those are like a little battle, right? To win. There's a different person ranking. So you can, make sure you use some techniques, have processes in place to make sure that, that you're ranking initially for some of the keywords, and over time, really trying to dominate that. And with that, with the research, understanding how much demand there is for those keywords and the amount of sale potential there, that's kind of where you see the magic happen is, you start cranking out the sale. So that's a big one. The last couple of things I'd say around it is just, and we can talk about, some hacks and stuff like that. But, to me, I gave a talk last year in Los Angeles about, this. It was, a couple that I talked about, but one of the things we talked about, like, hey, the secret of success is like, hey, there's not one secret of success, right? There's a lot in the execution that really differentiates those that are successful, those that are not, versus, understanding a couple secret methods. But, those are helpful, assuming you're willing to execute. So now, the ability to manage your inventory, again, not super complex, but just make sure that you understand how to replenish in time. Amazon really doesn't like it when you're out of stock. No different than a retailer. When I was at Home Depot, my district manager did not like it when I was out of stock either. Right. So, Amazon's going to punish you if you're out of stock a little bit, but if you stay in stock and you can turn that inventory quickly, right? You pay for that product, you then sell it, you can take that money and reinvest it. In the retail world, that's called your turns. The more you can turn your dollar in a given year, the greater the return on investment you're going to have. And so that's kind of the big picture piece of it to really start, growing your profitability.
Hi there, Ecom Masters. Mike Weiss here again with a friendly reminder that you've unlocked access to our exclusive podcast-only training on how to create your own supplement, CBD, pet, or skincare brand in just minutes, where we're going to break down from A to Z exactly how to put your own design on top-selling products and start selling in just minutes. It's incredible. Now, the principles that you're going to learn are exactly the same principles that we've used with our customers who did over $2 billion. That's right, with a B, $2 billion in sales last year alone. You cannot afford not to take me up on this free training. So to get immediate 100% complimentary access, all you got to do is go to dropified.com/podcast-special, or you can just click the link below in the show notes. I will see you soon. For those of you that haven't been into Amazon, or you're thinking about it, or maybe you're just getting started with Amazon, I just encourage you just to pause the video now, rewind back just when Jamie started, because and make sure you have a pen and paper and just start putting down the points. And again, we're going to be giving a couple more amazing pieces here, as well as a way that you can connect with Jamie through his amazing program that he actually dives not just surface level, but just super down and really helping folks that go through that program to succeed in the same way that he did, because he's not just some guy that makes $100 million and he's like, cool, I'm done. He wants to help other people venture. So we're going to get to that. Let me ask Jamie. So just to actually, if it's all right, for those of you, just because I know you and I were definitely in the biz, but one thing that I'm hearing out of what you're saying, and if I can maybe just not sum up what you're saying, but if I can put a nice little intro or exit to it, is for those that don't understand Amazon's ecosystem, you do need to think about it a little differently than if you have, like, say, a Shopify store that you're trying to drive Facebook or Google or native ads or influencers to. Okay. Why? Is because Amazon has built this really beautiful ecosystem. And when Jamie's talking about very keyword driven, again, some of you might be thinking, well, that's the same as SEO. Well, it is, but it isn't, because the difference is that in Amazon, they're not, when people go to Amazon, they're not going to Amazon to, read content, post, posts, submit videos of themselves, in their, or their turkey dinner that they're having. Like, they're there to buy, right? So you have now an entire stream or river, as Jamie had said, where people are buying. That's why they are there. So when you are putting your investment dollars in and where you're building your listing, it's a little bit different than a website where you don't have a lot of real estate to do it, unless, example, you're branded or you're registered with a trademark of some sort. So you don't have a whole lot of real estate. So you got to do the best that you possibly can with the real estate that you have. And then once you have a party that you're like, man, people are going to love this thing, which is going to be your listing, then you got to get super smart with what keywords that you have, because don't just go after, the best Christmas gifts or the best gifts for mom for Christmas, because guess what? There's about, I can't remember what the number is, how many sellers are on Amazon, but it's in the, for sure, I would say the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. But
multiple millions. There's over a couple 100,000 sellers per year that do over, I think, over $200,000 in sales.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So you're not the genius that figured out, oh, hey, I bet if I could do something, the best, the best Christmas gifts for mom, that is going to be a keyword. That's going to be a lot of money for you if you want to actually buy it. And when I mean buy it, it means to actually be, think of it like, use the analogy of river and fish and bait. I use it almost like a chance for you to put your face on a billboard while people are driving down busy highway, right? And again, you're going to be right next to another billboard. For someone to actually look at you, it's going to cost a lot more money to have space, a billboard space on that highway, or to get a decent spot bait when you're fishing, right, in that river. And so the reason that's different is because when you're on Facebook, people go to Facebook for different reasons. I actually don't typically go to Facebook to actually shop. As much as I do to, produce content, look at content and see what's going on. I mean, it's a great spot for targeting, retargeting, and whatever, but it's just different. So don't think, well, I'm already spending all this money in Facebook. How is this going to be any different? It is different, because this is a chance for you to actually jump into an ecosystem of buyers, right? It's the same thing when you go into Walmart. It's the same thing when you go on to eBay. These are people that don't go for any other real content except for buying, right? And so anyway, I just want to kind of maybe simplify the introduction, maybe the exit of that is, this is a different strategy than maybe what you're doing, but it's super lucrative, especially if you have coaches and trainers like Jamie that can kind of guide you through what works and what doesn't work. And so that you can, walk the path as you need to. Jamie, is that fair? Would you agree or disagree with anything I was saying there?
100%, Mike. I would just add one last thing, because you stated it well, which is, I'd say that the difference with Amazon, and we do sell on other platforms, and so I understand it, is that, and even, as we sell like our AMZ Insiders, our coaching program, how do we market that compared to our Amazon products? Well, the difference is Amazon, has the volume, it has the traffic there. Everything else outside of Amazon, we need to go get all the traffic pretty much and bring people there. And, there are sources and different ways to do it, but it's not, Amazon is just, way more traffic that's already there. And so it just has to get out in front of it. And that can, especially once you get organically ranked on Amazon, then that's really kind of where the real money's made. We do some, use the pay-per-click and, some external traffic to get things going, but, being ranked organically there is unlike, anything else out there. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's jump in. So this all sounds great. And maybe it's because more people haven't listened to you, or maybe it's because they're listening to a bunch of other horror stories that are out there about selling on Amazon. So let me ask you, Jamie, again, this isn't a slam against Amazon, but what actually are some of the major struggles that Amazon sellers are facing today that you help your audience navigate through, either in your training course or through YouTube videos, or that you're trying to navigate through yourself?
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, I would say there's always, and I'd say goes back to what I said at the beginning. With any business, there's always, things that are going well and things that are not. And sometimes those things they change from year to year. And so, I can tell you what we've seen this year And probably unlike any other years, there's been more momentum in terms of sales, right? Because of the pandemic and everything, there's been more online shopping. The whole industry has
exploded.
It's kind of the rising boat. Rising tide, right, raises all boats, which is great. That's true. I mean, it's really good. But with that, what came with it, especially initially in the spring of 2020, when things took off, Amazon put limitations on the ability to. Initially, it was you couldn't send anything that wasn't considered essential, right? Which was a problem. And then we had some hacks and workarounds to basically. Actually, one of my buddies, who's my buddy Dima, who's a good seller, he's got a software. But I was like, hey, how can we work around this? He built a tool to do it, which is good. But you don't want to rely, because then you don't know if Amazon's going to whack you for that or not. But but essentially, what's become more of a challenge, even past that, even as Amazon got caught up and they got their warehouses stuff, because of the growth, the amount of stuff kind of going to warehouses, Amazon became tighter. I talked about earlier the concept about turns, that you want to sell your product quickly so that you can get the money back from it, and then you can reinvest that money, right? And that's true for any retailer, e-commerce or brick and mortar. You want to turn those dollars. You don't want that inventory sitting there because your money's sitting on a shelf. Well, Amazon doesn't want that either, because they get their cut. And so they've really tightened the inventory amounts that people can send to Amazon warehouses. So people, whereas people were sending 3,000 units, now they're being told they can send 200 units, which is a little tricky when you're trying to send stuff from China over to the US. So again, we that's the type of stuff, the real world, we've been working on. We had some tools to work around that, and we had some bypasses around that. But as I mentioned earlier, you got to be careful, because sometimes Amazon, they realize that and they don't like it when you figure out a way to trick their systems and so forth. So at the end of the day, you don't need to do that. It's just but that is a real challenge, right? It becomes, I mean, in some ways it's good that you want to be forced to run your business more efficiently and to be smart about it, because, that's more money for you. It's more money for Amazon. Again, the tighter that you're turning your inventory around, but it is a little tricky. Again, the basic model of getting stuff from China to the US, that, if you're limited on your inventory, it's good. Now there's some more other workarounds with that in terms of third-party warehouses, people providing it, doing some fulfillment by a merchant, where instead of Amazon, you having, either whether it's yourself or a third party sell. So there's always, like everything, there's always a workaround. There's always something you can do that people are adapting to. But yeah, no, it's those, those are things that, continue to change. And, every year you just need to be on top of the things, what's going on with Amazon. If you do that, we've been fortunate that we're pretty dialed in and connected. Then, you adjust and you keep moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the things, if I can just add a couple points to that, even we experience with our private label toys and supplements and whatnot, is from last year, same time last year, there wasn't things like IP or like the scoring methods, that gauged what your
inventory performance,
your inventory performance, what your storage costs would be, right? So there's now performance-based incentives to actually get reduced storage costs. We got caught where we had a flag on ours for a hazmat, dangerous goods in hazmat, which locked our inventory up for 6 months. And we were getting pretty dry after 6 months of that sitting there, all because of some stupid little paperwork thing that ended up being, which was super frustrating. But that's the thing is, like, when you're not holding your own inventory, it's the game's different, right? And versus if you have all the inventory in your own warehouse and you're just kind of controlling the sale function. I think the other thing is when they changed around the campaigns, that was a major shift for a lot of people, right? So when they open up the doors to dynamic versus automatic, and it wasn't just as simple as
or the DSP.
Yeah, exactly, right. And now they have the DSP coming in and they have video shorts and things like that, and so there's just so much growth happening. So what I would even say, just even in my, again, more limited experience than you, is it sounds to me, or it feels to me, that Amazon is looking for like legitimate sellers because they're sick and tired of illegitimate sellers or people that are just coming in to do fly by night over Q4. And then they're leaving Amazon with the mess of dealing with the client and customer service and complaints, and this product sucks and I can't get a hold of the person. They shut down stores. Like, it's like they're saying never again are we going to get into that nightmare. Yeah, we made a lot of money, but it wasn't worth the hassle and probably a bunch of the refunds that we owed. And they're just looking for like completely like these power sellers that they can bring their giant client base to. And it's just getting harder and harder and harder, or sorry, not harder. They're putting more and more filters in place to make sure that they do have legitimate sellers that are coming on with brands. Like you said earlier, they like private brands because they're businesses that are ready to go.
Yeah, no, that's all absolutely true. I mean, and I would say for anyone out there, you don't need to have a goal to become a giant seller. I have a good friend, my friend David and Leah Cups. They're in Indiana. I know them kind of through the Amazon world, but they're a great husband-wife team, and they've done I think 4 brands now. Yeah, they've done 4 brands. They sold one for $4.1 million a couple years ago in the baby space.
Yeah.
She does the designing.
That's a big space.
Yeah. And then they did just a couple months ago, they sold 2 brands. I think one for $2 million and one for, I don't know, $3-4 million. They have a gardening brand that went crazy during COVID, or during the peak of COVID, that they had up for sale for about $7 million. They end up, they're holding on to that one. But those last 3 brands, they started less than 2 years ago, and they're a 2-person team, very sharp, couple of very, great at execution. And, but, they don't have a warehouse. They don't have, a big team. So the point being, there's still, like I said at the beginning, if there's quality, and they're a good example of somebody who does quality stuff and goes about it in the right way, there's certainly a lot of opportunity. Yeah.
Wonderful. So let me ask you, Jimmy. So I think we've done a fantastic job on laying the groundwork of Amazon. It's no longer a scary thing. It's something that just takes you being organized, having perseverance, essentially being fearless, and just believing in yourself and making sure that you have all your ducks in a row pretty much all the time. Just make sure that you have your thumb on the pulse all the time. And the second you take your thumb off the pulse, then things are going to start slipping. So it sounds like there's a nice constant theme of that. Both in what you're saying as well as in the way that you deliver your program. So we chatted a little bit beforehand about Dropified's private label on demand plan. And so let me ask you again, for our users that do use this plan and are looking to get into Amazon. So knowing what Dropified's private label on demand plan provides for our customers, what would you do? What would you do if you had literally unlimited custom brand creation potential with the ability to get ungated in things like supplements, skincare, and pet products faster than, say, the traditional methods, and be able to have the products delivered in 1 to 3 business days using FBM, so fulfilled by merchants. So you don't have to worry about upfront inventory costs, minimum order quantities, and literally it's just on demand. Once someone buys it, it'll get shipped and the customer gets in 1 to 3 days. What would you do if you had access to that?
Yeah, well, I will start off by saying this is why none of us know everything in the industry, because this is like, speaking with you and you're like, ooh, that's interesting. I never would have thought about that. Right. Like, just not what, we describe what we do, and we're pretty good at what we do. But there's always like smart people out there combining these different opportunities and seeing angles in the market. So it's really interesting to me, one, obviously the discussion we already had, which is, to me, don't say Amazon's a no brainer, because not to say it's for everybody, right. but, and certainly, the place, I mean, again, it's just our own philosophy is, even though we sell on about 30 other platforms, Amazon is, we talk Amazon 90+% of the time. So for the reasons we covered earlier, I think, frankly, I'm interested in using this. And, we had some conversations before jumping on here just about seeing it, because I love, anything we do, we always put our hands on and love to use. And no, I think it sounds really, really interesting. The ability to, it fits what I said earlier, which is, Amazon loves private label. They love brands. The ability to move with some speed is great. I think that's an advantage, that without, making, massive investments on front and capital and guessing, I said ourselves is, I always say ourselves when we're, we never spend a ton of money. I don't care if we, how much money we have or not, but just because you never know what's going to be exactly successful or not. And you're kind of guessing and testing a little bit. You have some ways, but if you have your process in place and how to rank and all those type of things, you can, your odds of success are much greater. But yeah, no, to answer your question, I mean, I would certainly be intrigued by these spaces. I mean, I think those spaces you named, they're a little, you know, every category is a little bit different. You know,
Right.
I think those are all very sizable spaces. You know, they're pretty lucrative. We do some pet supply stuff ourselves, and you know, we found it to be, again, a very, very good, reliable space if you're successful. And obviously, you mentioned supplements is, you know, I would say that the two largest categories, or at least from my experience, in terms of both that and from competition, is really supplements and cell phone accessories are two. There's, you know, there's millions and millions, and it's, you know, they're multi-billion-dollar industries that exist on Amazon. So, especially if you can find like a little bit of a niche in the space, I always say there's riches and niches. But yeah, no, I mean, the ability to move quickly with lower risk than kind of the traditional model, to me, is what sounds interesting. And also it sounds like, you know, the opportunity to avoid some of the logistics challenges that I was talking about that, you know, was what's going on now. So
that's amazing.
So yeah, no, I think, and again, if you're selling on something else and you have some experience on these other platforms, but obviously just there's not huge down risk, especially if you're not having to put up, you know, a lot of inventory costs.
Yeah. And you know what, I appreciate you saying that, because again, and I know it's a little bit strange, and we had just chatted just prior to, one of the things that I've always found, this is before, you know, Dropified even came through, is I would always keep my own inventory as well and have some in FBA. And the reason why I did that is because I always wanted to try and drive external traffic into Amazon, because just as much as Amazon hates it when people stock out, they actually love it when you're bringing external traffic into Amazon, because that's just more business for them. And so for me, one amazing strategy I found is, instead of having to double dip on the PPC or the inside Amazon's advertising, and Facebook and, you know, Google and native ads and influencers, is I would actually have folks drive externally. This is not my only strategy, but as a strategy, I would have people drive traffic externally to nice sales funnels that make it super easy to make it very attractive. And I would just have as you know, sell or buy on Amazon, click it, it would bring in, and that helps drive organic traffic, which then makes you more money on Amazon. And I mean, you're still spending money on advertising just because you can't get away from that. No one's figured out the secret to succeeding without advertising yet, but yeah, there's lots of really fantastic strategies. And so the ability to be able to get laser focused in both markets is very, very powerful. And that's that's not just Dropified private label. That's when you're doing any testing out there to figure out what's going to sell and what's not. The difference is that you can actually fulfill even if someone buys just one, and you don't have to pay any upfront inventory, similar to what you would see with like print on demand and things like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense.
Awesome. So guys, we are about to tell you here about the #1 secret for exploding out of the gate using the technique that Jamie only offers to his AMZ Insiders Training. But before we reveal this, we wanted to remind you about a couple really amazing bonus offers and gifts that we give just to listeners on this episode. First, you know, we've been talking a little bit about Dropified recently here, so I wanted just to let you know, just for our listeners, Dropified is going to be doing something super cool. Normally, it's a $2,500 platform per year, and again, obviously, you can see all the benefits that come from that. However, just for the listeners today, what we're going to be doing is offering a very special, it's $197 per month bonus. And what this is instead of paying $2,500 and having to commit to it long-term, we want to give you a chance to try it out, especially during Q4. And especially if you're thinking about getting into Amazon, this is a super, probably I would even say one of the cheapest ways that you can get into Amazon with private label products and I'm talking about just in minutes. And literally I do an entire training that you'll see after you purchase here. If you're interested in doing Amazon, on how you can get in, it's a 45-minute training on literally how to get your brand unlocked, how to get your ungated for you know, the different categories that you want to get into. And then it's a 7-minute training right after that on literally how quickly you can get your products. And I even use my own brands as an example. So guys, we are going to be doing that. It's $197 a month, but that's not it. We're also going to be throwing in an extra $2,500 of bonus gifts. And what that is it's comprised of 2 super powerful add-ons that normally, literally, to even our existing customers, we sell for $2,500 as add-ons. The first one is going to be over 100 different label design templates. So if you suck at design, and again, it's a big part of really any private label product, our in-house design team here has created over 100 different label design templates that you can feel free just to use if you want to, or just get inspiration from, shoot it over to your design team. Or if you don't have a design team, do it yourself. Or if you don't want to do it yourself, give it to Fiverr, Upwork, 99 Designs, and whoever, and just say, here's the design template. I want this, that. Boom, you're ready to go. The second thing we're going to do is something a little bit outside of Amazon. It's called the Supplement Traffic Secrets mini course. And what this is how you can utilize native ads and influencer driven traffic to sites outside of Amazon, or to actually directly to Amazon if you wanted to. It's really up to you. But this is a way for you to actually make Amazon happy so that they can help you get to organic traffic, because you are driving external traffic into Amazon using these other traffic secrets. And we go through literally the top native ad platforms, how you're going to do it from start to finish. It's an amazing, amazing add-on. So we're going to be giving this to you guys all for $197 a month, just month to month. You don't have to cancel. Sorry, you can cancel whenever you want, but I just don't think you're going to. Next, I would love, Jamie, explain to us how someone can get, follow with you, continue following your journey, or actually jump into this amazing training program that we've been teasing people about for this last, half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. One is if you want to go to, we have a workshop and we walk through our, it's about 30 minutes long, so it's pretty short, but I walk you through our whole process there. So that's amzinsiders.org, so .org. You can do that. And then, so yeah, that would be the primary way. Encourage you to check that out. If you want to connect with me or ask me a question, probably Instagram, direct messaging, just Jamie Davidson. I think I'm just Jamie Davidson AMZ. Is no problem. Just direct message me. That's cool.
And we'll put all that down below so you guys don't have to be like, what did he say? We'll just put it down below.
It's good. And I'll even I'm going to test this out. I've never done a podcast. If you want to text me, my cell number, 404-275-8643. That's my actual cell number. That's not some capture message thing, but just, you want to shoot me a text or whatever else. Point being, if you direct message me or text me and you got a question or you want help, we'll point you in the right direction. But if you want to see the training, amzinsiders.org.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. Now, again, I've been holding on just too long, I think, for some people. So let's get to the last point. What is the number one secret for exploding out of the gate using this technique that you only offer to your AMZ Insider Training students?
Yeah, so this is the one I'll share today, and there's a couple things, but I'd say one of I think the biggest one that, just because I don't see a lot of people using it right now, is the use of Amazon Live for your product. So the strategy we use, I won't go into great detail, but it's known by certainly other people in the industry, which is the idea of search, find, buy. And there's different ways we talked about. We typically drive external traffic. As opposed to someone going to a link to buy your product, the more that Amazon can see someone organically type in a search word, scroll down, find your product, and then, put it in the cart and buy it. Great. So there's lots of, the fundamental ways, the behind the scenes, you offer rebates, and there's a couple of different systems to do that. So which is good. That's an effective technique. We use it. But what I'm talking here is basically using that technique, but layering in Amazon Live, which is pretty cool. So Amazon Live, a lot of people don't know about it. It's an app on your phone. You could download it from the App Store there, and you can hook it. You can just use the phone, or you can use it. You can hook it up to your computer if you're a little bit more set up. I've got, we do a little bit more stuff here.
So if you sell the setup that you have, I'm sure people would buy it.
Yeah, I've got a few things in here, but anyways, the point is that what you can do, a couple of cool things. So in Amazon Live, because the idea of understanding what Amazon's motivations are, is Amazon's trying to keep up with Facebook, with Instagram, and realizing now Instagram is offering, instant shopping and purchases, Facebook shopping, all the other things that people are out there already selling on. So Amazon wants to compete and continue to offer more features. They don't want to be overly static in their environment. You talked about video and everything else. So Amazon Live is an opportunity, and some people aren't as comfortable going, quote unquote, going live. But one, you can use your phone, use the app, and you can fill right there, or you can hook it up to your computer through a camera there. And you can broadcast through things like Restream or OBS or whatever, but just the app itself, you don't need anything. You can just broadcast right through there. But there's some things you can do. Basically use Amazon Live with this search, find, buy technique, which is when you go live on Amazon, people can follow you. One is I encourage you to go live like 3 days a week with your product. Just get your product out, whatever. It'll save a ball. Yeah. You can go, let me show you what it's going to look like. You unpackage it. Let me show you how to use the product. Let me show you how to assemble it. Let me show you this, show you that. Or another avenue is you can hire an influencer out there and you can give them access to your account. They can then promote. Let me tell you about this great product. And Amazon's promoting this traffic like crazy. If you go to amazon.com/live, you'll see all these different, pretty much like little live shows on there, but it's all product stuff, just like you see on Facebook, you guys see on Instagram, right? So it's the same stuff, but it's all product. And think about like very small percentage of people still are doing this. But the technique here I'm talking about specifically the search, find, buy. So in the Amazon, when you go live, you can link your product to it where people can click through and buy it. And that's good. You'll definitely generate sales to it. But we call this verbal search, find, buy, which is you can also go live and not link your product to it. So you don't connect it to your gallery. And instead you can put up an image of what your product, again, if it's on your screen, you can do that screen wise, but you can show what that listing looks like. And you can direct people and you can give them a coupon, different ways to do it. Right. So it's that same idea. And you tell them, hey, go search my product here. And you're going to get this special, offer we got for you today. Just kind of like, you were offering some great value to everyone with your guys' program. And if you do that, a few times a week, you get
holy cow. I'm gonna
a lot of products. Yeah.
I didn't even know that you could do that. That's incredible. I'm actually going to go do that right after. Well, I have
it's pretty simple. You can get fancier if you want, and it's fancier. Sure. It's not super complex, but you can do things like your computer. You can put up a timer, like, hey, this is only going to be available for the next, 3 minutes, and then it just, then the deal goes away. So it's like it's like your own home shopping network.
Love it.
Brought to life for your own brand. So
it's 2 o'clock time to shop.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's exciting. Different things like that are available on there.
Yeah.
But some of it's just knowing, what's available, what you can do, and just, following what some other people are doing as well.
Holy smokes, Jamie, that was unreal. Okay. So for anyone that has no idea, what Jamie just said, you literally need to just pause, go back to when he first started talking, back when he was explaining what Amazon, is, and how you can actually start selling on Amazon, and rewatch this over and over and over again. Guys, I cannot tell you how much gold there was, even in that number one secret. So for those of you like me that understand Amazon, you see my reaction to how joyful I am, is because honestly, I had no idea. And that is so freaking smart. And it's something that I'm going to actually be utilizing right now with my other brands. So guys, I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in for today. Jamie, thank you so much for joining our episode and our podcast today. And it's just been such a joy and such a privilege to actually speak with you. And again, to everyone tuning in, thank you so much again. And please be sure to join us on our next episode. And you can see all the bonus offers. You can see all the secrets down below, and especially the amazing how to get a hold of Jamie. Please don't call him at 3 a.m. He'll change his number and ruin it for everybody. But thank you so much, Jamie. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, likewise, Mike. I'm excited about what you guys are doing. So this was fun.
Oh, great. Thank you, guys. Hello again, eCom Masters. Mike was here again with a big thank you for sticking with us to the end of this episode. I know how valuable your time is, and I want to congratulate you for setting yourself apart from the pack by investing your attention into this podcast. Now, make sure to maximize this time by taking notes while it's still fresh, listening to the episode multiple times if you need to, and implementing what you have learned right away into your own business. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more training and want to learn the step-by-step methodology that you need to build the e-com business of your dreams, I want you to join me for an exclusive invite-only training that I'm only giving specifically for podcast listeners. Now, in it, we're going to share the secrets of what we've used to scale Dropified into the 2019 5,000 number 55 fastest growing company in America. You will not find this information anywhere else, guaranteed. To get immediate 100% free access, all you got to do is go to dropified.com /podcast-special, or just click the link below and in the show notes, and I will see you on the other side.